This is how you stop bleeding money. This is how you become profitable when it comes to recruiting. In this video, we're going to jump in to how do we do this? Well, this is my favorite topic in recruiting, and that is building a bench. And what is the bench? And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about why it's important. And hey, we all want to be more profitable when it comes to recruiting. We want to make sure we're hiring the right people. And why is this important and how do we do it? So I'm going to jump right in. So I would like you guys to really think about, why should you always be recruiting? Well, one of the reasons why you should always be recruiting so that you can stop bleeding money on bad hires or in recruiting in general is that if you're always recruiting, if you're building a bench, you're going to lower your recruiting costs by 50%. And it has substantial impact if we continue to always recruit. You're also going to reduce your recruiting cost if you're always recruiting, you're building that bench, because you're going to speed up your time to hire by 40%. So there are tons of financial benefits to always be recruiting, to stop bleeding that money on bad hires. So what does this look like? Well, we need to make sure that one, we know what building a bench is all about. And I'm going to get into it real fast. The importance. Let's just go over the importance, right? It gives you a competitive advantage. You're staying ahead of those competitors because you're always in the talent pool. You're always there. If a rock star walks in, you can't tell me you're not going to hire that rock star. The other reason is it reduces your time to hire. We talked about that by 40%. And it also enhances company culture. And this is something that nobody talks about. To always be recruiting brings down, yes, our cost for recruiting so that we're not bleeding that money out. But believe it or not, it enhances our culture because continuously engaging with potential candidate really builds a positive brand within your company. But also, we can get rid of the bad fits, the bad culture fits. We no longer have to keep because we have options. We really do. And it's incredible to see that we have options when it comes to those. So we all have the same goal, right? We want to be staffed. We want to have options. And so a lot of people push back on me for this always be recruiting, but this is how you stop bleeding money. This is how you become profitable when it comes to recruiting. I have a question for you, right? In business, we have two options. We have the option of being overstaffed or understaffed. Do you want to lose money or find money? And what do I mean by that? Well, a great friend and mentor once said to me, he said, like, Libby, there's two options. And he's like, I would always choose the other, the understaffed or overstaffed. I'd rather be overstaffed, right? Choose your hard. Because to be understaffed means I'm turning away money. I'm losing money. I can't take work. The schedule's full. If I have any bad employees, which most companies do, no one has a company full of rock stars. That's why we should always be recruiting. But you're going to have call outs or quality issues, but you're held hostage to those, then which hurts profitability because it hurts quality. And then we start to lose customers. So to be understaffed, you're losing money in so many places. That's a whole nother video. But to be overstaffed, right? To be overstaffed means I have to go find money. Let me go find it. That means I got to get out of the chair. I got to get out of the office and I got to get back to kind of that hustle mode of what I had when I first started to go find the work. Because if I'm overstaffed, I have a different stress. I have to go find work for those people. As the owner, I have an obligation to fill those schedules. So that means I got to get creative. You have to go out and do some guerrilla marketing, but it's really your choice. Because if you're always recruiting, you're building that bench. You're building a bench of people that you have to choose from because we never know what's going to happen. We never know if one of our employees may get in a car accident or they move or a spouse loses a job and they have to leave the area, or maybe they have issues with their children. So we never know what's going to happen. So to always be recruiting is the solution to stop bleeding money on bad hires because we're not held hostage to them. We have options. And we can continuously recruit for those A players that we're looking for to build that great team and that great culture. To always be recruiting also is one of the things I've seen that help companies get to their revenue goals. Because it's going to motivate you to have to go out and find that work, find that money, versus sitting here waiting until I have enough customers, then to go post a job ad, then to interview people. Well, customers aren't going to wait anymore. We're going to burn out our current employees. We're going to lose money there because efficiency is going to go down. And it's just this evolving cycle of bleeding money if we're not recruiting the right way. And there was the old way of recruiting, right? Post-COVID, pre-COVID way of recruiting. I need somebody, throw a job ad up, interview one person, hire them, take it down, we're done. Those days are gone. I hate to tell you guys that. Those days are gone. The show rate for an interview pre-COVID, before COVID, was about 50% in an entry-level position. The show rate now, post-COVID, for an entry-level position is 20% average. 20% industry average for a entry-level position is 20%. So it's changed. The game has changed, and you have to make sure you're changing with it. Because we know we should always be recruiting, but I would like to tell you guys, I have the stats, that only 38% of companies are continuously recruiting. Only 38%. This is like nationwide, across all industries. Only 38% of companies are continuously recruiting. But why would we do that if we know that it makes us more profitable? We're 40% faster to hire, because 83% of us know these things, but we don't do anything about it. We don't address it. And we know that if we're not always recruiting, it lowers productivity. It increases the workload on my existing employees, which hurts culture and morale. It reduces customer quality or customer satisfaction, and it costs the business revenue because we're turning down money. We're losing money. So there are so many reasons why we should always be recruiting, and we should build that bench. But one of the number one reasons is so that we can stop bleeding money on bad hires. We're no longer held hostage to bad fit hires because we're always recruiting. We're no longer in a deficit. So again, if you want to stop bleeding money and you want to be more profitable, you choose your struggle. But the solution for this, the key, is to always be recruiting so you can build that bench. Think of a sports analogy. Basketball team only has 5 players on the court at any one given time. But do they only have 5 players on the entire team? No, they have a bench of great qualified athletes that they can pull off and put in the game at any time. So that is what always be recruiting means. It doesn't mean to always be hiring. It means to always be interviewing, always be open, right? Always be overstaffed, because we don't want to be understaffed, because that is how we bleed money and we bleed profit.